So in Nashville, I spent 15 years chairing the Foster Care Review Board in Davidson County. A Foster Care Review Board, um, any child in Tennessee, any child who comes into state custody, their case has to be reviewed every 6 months by the judge or a panel of local people who volunteer to review cases. And so I was the chairman of one of those foster care review boards that would review cases every 6 months. And our board was dedicated to adoption. So all of the children that would come in front of that board, the goal for them was to be adopted out of foster care. They had already determined that returning to their parents was not going to be a viable option. So I did that. And then I also worked with the administrative offices of the court in Nashville, and we had a court improvement program statewide to teach attorneys in juvenile court how to be better advocates for parents and for children. And I traveled statewide and taught classes to those attorneys. And then most recently, within the last 8 years, I have been working and help with designing a program with Family and Children's Services, which is a local nonprofit. And Family and Children's Services has a DCS grant that they use to provide services and case management to relatives who are caring for children. And we have designed a pathway to permanency for those parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles who are relatives to adopt these children so that they can remain in the home and have permanency, know that they're not going anywhere else, know that they now can put down roots because their circumstances or their situation is not temporary, it's permanent. This is my forever family. And it's a family that I know and I'm familiar with, and in a community that I know and I'm familiar with. So I do that. I have several cases now that I've kind of developed a practice where people who are foster parents end up calling me and asking me to help them with an adoption because the department currently, and I think this is a national problem, but in Tennessee in particular, we have staffing shortages and kids aren't getting served. And so kids may languish in foster care for 2 or 3 years because the department can't get around to terminating parental rights and allowing foster parents to adopt. So I take it out of the department's hands and I'll file a petition for termination of parental rights and adoption on behalf of the foster parents against the biological parent. So I have several cases where I'm doing that. And all of this that I'm saying comes from my belief that we would do much better to invest in kids and help them learn resiliency from trauma than to build prisons. Because when you look at the prison population, 75% of the men who are in prison have come from broken homes, have abuse, have those kinds of things in their history. And I would much rather deal with that on the front end than to pay to house these people on the back end. I'm a very firm believer that we find healing through positive relationships. Absolutely. And the science backs it up. It's not just my belief, but we find healing for life's trauma through healing relationships. And children need to know that they have a place where they can put down roots so that they can sprout wings.